everybody. Welcome to the next episode of ERT. My name is Derrick.
And I'm Kara.
So this past week, or I guess by the time of this is dropping, a week and a half ago, we got to go check out the preseason preview of Top Thrill 2. And right off the bat, amazing roller coaster, exceeded expectations.
It blew our minds.
Yeah, it's a great roller coaster. We had a great time. So we weren't actually planning on going to this event originally because if you all remember in the last video, I did mention that our may or may not have jury duty. Well, it turned out to be the not have jury duty.
Yay.
So somehow I skirted the whole thing. I just never got called in.
So you got dismissed every single day.
Every single day. So I was like, you know what? Let's take a half day and let's go up to Cedar Point for this preview event. The weather worked out fantastic. It was a beautiful day.
It was gorgeous.
The roller coaster was running great because I was worried too, like, oh, we're going to drive 3 hours or 6 hours round trip just for one ride. I mean, because there's a couple other rides open, but I mean, we were there to go check out Top Thrill 2. So essentially driving 6 hours to go check out one roller coaster. And if that roller coaster didn't open, that'd be pretty disappointing.
And our last gamble with driving out of the way to a Cedar Fair park to ride one roller coaster was a massive fail.
which we'll actually talk about it in a little bit. Accelerator over at Knott's Berry Farm. That was an old, well, I can't say old, a hydraulic launch. Well, it's 22 years old.
Really?
So,
well, I mean,
technically in the world of things, what is it, 25 years? It's called like a classic or something like that. So,
I don't know.
We're both classics.
Oh,
but anyways.
Speak for yourself. Jeez. Oh my gosh.
Hey, I'm 37 going on 21.
Yes. But as you'll notice, you don't usually get carded anymore when we go out to dinner.
What are you talking about?
You used to get carded all the time.
Everybody thinks I'm like, 18. Just kidding.
No.
But anyways.
Once upon a time.
Yeah. Accelerator is a hydraulic launch roller coaster. It didn't operate when we were there. It did operate later in the day, but we just didn't have all day to sit around waiting for it, unfortunately. So we missed out on that one.
By a few hours.
But everything worked out great on Top Thrill 2. And we worked out even perfect for us because we heard the lines the day before were like 2 hours, which that day I did get over 2 hour wait, but we got our pass. We went and put our stuff in the locker. We walked right into the queue and on the ride in like 5 minutes.
I was gonna say we walked straight through the queue right up into the station.
And we walked right up to the front row. So didn't even have to ask for it. They just sent us right to the front row, which was amazing. So couldn't have asked for a better outcome, really.
Yes.
And like I said, the weather was great. I think it made perfect conditions to shoot some footage, pictures.
It looked so good.
Yeah, so overall, I was a little skeptical at first with Zamperla stepping in and doing this whole refurbishment, upgrade, transformation of Top Thrill Dragster. But after experiencing it and seeing it in action, I think this was a huge success for Zamperla and Cedar Fair altogether. And we don't fully know its operations capability yet because, again, it's only been operating for a few days. But from what I could see, and sometimes you kind of get a sense right off the bat, I think this is going to be a lot more successful, a lot more efficient.
Reliable.
More reliable, less downtime than the original Top Thrill Dragster.
I was saying it was running when we were there on Thursday night. It was running like clockwork, which was amazing to document because when you're taking photos and videos, you're waiting for that train to go and then you have your second of, time to actually take your shot and then you wait for it to dispatch again. And sometimes you stand around and you wait forever. But they were killing it.
It was like every just a little bit shy or around 90 seconds, a train would be pulling out of that station, which is about as good as it can get because as soon as that the train prior clears or just about to clear that top hat, the other train is rolling out of the station. So you really can't go any faster than that. So fantastic. They had 3 trains operating. So one train would be loading, another train would be unloading, and then the third train would be on the track running the cycle. And so, I think it's great. The only thing I could say is we'll be curious to see how it works maybe with a 2-train operation because this roller coaster only has 3. So I always get kind of nervous when there's never like that extra backup train. I know Six Flags has been kind of putting more emphasis on that, especially down at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, Iron Rattler, they purchased that third train. The ride can only operate with 2, but they purchased that third train so they can always make sure that they're operating that ride with 2 trains at a time. That might be something maybe down the line, if it is possible, if they could add like a 4th train to Top Thrill 2, so they always can operate with 3, because I think this ride looks perfect. Like, works like clockwork with 3 trains.
Yes.
And that's really what I want to emphasize. When it's 2, it will go a little bit slower because, again, the one train has to unload, and then it's got to depart the departing station and roll into the loading station. But yeah, it's unlike most other Cedar Fair parks. This roller coaster only has a lap bar. There isn't that additional seatbelt.
No seatbelt.
So again, the whole loading process and unloading process, super quick and efficient.
It's so smooth. And
Yes.
we even, when we got in the train and you sit down and you kind of look around and you're like, wait, there's no seatbelt. And we heard people behind us going, is there a seatbelt? Should I be looking for a seatbelt?
Because that's very rare with Cedar Fair parks. They almost always opt for some kind of an additional. But nope, this is just that, which is perfectly fine. It's safe. That's how these rides are designed, because these restraints are usually locked into place by 2 or 3 redundancies, or I think it's like 2 redundancies. So you're not going anywhere. But operations was fantastic.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm the type of person, I like to feel secure in a roller coaster train. I like to be, I mean, I don't want to be stapled, but I want to feel secure, and I was very comfortable. The seats were so comfortable, speaking of which.
Oh, yeah. They were excellent seats. I would like to see more of these trains by Zamperla. I think they were very comfortable.
Yes.
Which I was actually curious, too, because I've been on some Zamperla attractions, like the, like the giant Discovery Disc, like Black Widow at Kennywood. They also are the ones that make in Spinvasion at Kennywood as well.
Okay, yeah.
Those rides have very small seats and restraints for me. I barely fit in them.
But those are over-the-shoulder restraints.
Yes, they are the over-the-shoulder restraints. But I'm just comparing it in my head, like, okay, if those were really small, would I be dealing with a smaller scenario? But no, these are very roomy, very comfortable. So I like these trains.
These were great. They were great.
And yeah, so with this transformation, it very much is a different ride. So it's not like everybody was thinking like, oh, it's going to be like a neutered version of Top Thrill Dragster. And it really, it almost feels like a completely different attraction. Like you really almost can't even compare them. Because the first original one was really all about that first launch, that acceleration. And then the rest of the ride was just kind of like added bonus. The Top Thrill True, Top Thrill True. Top Thrill 2.
True by Top Thrill.
It has the multi-launch. So you get a total of 3 launches. And it's more about the full ride experience, and the roller coaster continues to amp up the intensity as it goes along. Like that final launch, you're at 120 miles per hour. Again, not like the super kick or anything, but the full force of that 120 miles per hour going down that launch track is really something else.
Well, you really feel it too, because you are going 120 miles per hour for a long stretch.
It's not like the original. You hit that speed for like 1 or 2 seconds, and then you're already climbing up that top hat. This one, no, you're just running that speed that whole way down. So
it's crazy. I mean, I have some pictures of like people's faces. I mean, it's intense.
There's some some of the video I have. You can see like people waiting like on the launch track. Like you can see like the anxiousness.
No, I mean the wind in the face of the person in the front row.
Yes.
Like, I mean, we rode in the front row. So, I mean, that third launch.
I probably looked like a chickmunk because I felt like my cheeks were like blown up.
People's faces are like blown back like this. Yeah. But I mean, like,
you could feel it too. Like your face is like gonna get ripped off.
I was screaming, but there was no sound. Like my scream was somewhere else. It was crazy.
So highly successful, which leads me to, I guess, a couple questions, and we'll kind of bounce around it. So sticking with Zamperla, since I would say this was a success, do we see this manufacturer now doing this same kind of process on other similar roller coasters?
So you're asking like RMC has come in and refurbished wooden coasters. Is Zamperla the RMC of what would like the
hydraulic launch roller coasters? So let's talk about that. So in the United States, there's technically 4 of them in operation. There is King Ka, which is currently the tallest it's the tallest roller coaster in the world, the fastest roller coaster in the United States. We have Storm Runner, another hydraulic launch over at Hershey Park. Good ride. I keep forgetting the one that's themed to a snake, the one at the Lost Island Park. I can't remember. It's the relocated one. I'm sorry, I butchered the name, so I'm not even going to do it. You'll probably just see it. I'll just display it below.
We'll just
you'll
put
see
the name right
here.
here.
And you'll see what I'm talking about. And also Accelerator, which is the original hydraulic launch roller coaster out at Knott's Berry Farm. So, curious to see if maybe Zamperla would ever touch those. So, going down the line, let's just start off with the original Accelerator. And I said I'd mention it. I don't think that one will get touched anytime soon. And the reason why I say is the ride did just go through a major refurbishment.
Yes.
I believe they cannibalized a lot of the parts from Top Thrill Dragster, parts from the train, because the trains are also very similar and whatnot, and sent it over the Knott's. So I think they've kind of like set themselves up to where that coaster is going to be that coaster for quite some time.
Well, it was closed for what, like 18 months?
It was something like that.
And
it was closed for at least a good year.
Reopened.
Yeah, the day after our first visit, and then when we came back, and then it had problems. So again, as you can see, the reliability for those roller coasters, not the best.
Iffy.
Yeah.
Unpredictable.
The one that's always been pretty efficient. Now, I don't know about the one at Lost Island, because that one, okay, that was a relocated from, I think it's called Leiseberg over in Germany, I believe is where it came from. That used to be called like Cannon or Canon or however they pronounce it, which is meant Cannon. So it's a really small, compact one. I've heard that ride works pretty good, but I'm pretty sure if let's say if Zamperla came in, they wouldn't have to do any kind of swing launch on that roller coaster, just be putting in an LSM launch and the ride would be good. But, I don't see them touching that one anytime soon. Let's go over to Storm Runner. So they may or may not have to consider doing like a swing launch, which I think they could make it work. It'd be a little bit weird. They'd have to reconfigure that station because you already have that switch track right there because it's the dual loading station. So they would probably have to close the one side. You'd have a spike going up the back. But overall ride experience, would that hurt that ride?
No.
See, I would argue and say that it would. And the reason why? Well, the roller coaster doesn't really go that fast as it is right now. I think it goes about, when I say it doesn't go that fast, it goes 72 miles per hour, which is pretty fast for a roller coaster. Okay,
but that's the speed of the first launch on Top Thrill.
It would be pretty much turning Storm Runner I would feel like it'd be like turning it into Pantheon, essentially. Okay. We enjoy Pantheon, but again, Pantheon. It would be similar kind of experience. As versus Top Thrill Dragster, the Top Thrill 2, you still have that insane speed, and I think that's really what makes that transformation still a good selling point. So I don't know if it would be the best fit, and I know Storm Runner has more or less been doing okay operational-wise.
But think about it. If they added the spike out the back, they could then make the top hat taller? And the snake dive and everything, you could add height to it?
You would have to change the whole entire ride, so you might as well just tear it down at that point. But, so I don't know. But the real question I guess everybody was talking about is Kingda Ka. Will Kingda Ka still stay the hydraulic launch? It's very widely known that ride does not have the best of reliability operations-wise. I think it's broken down every single time that we've been to there at the park. In fact, after that roller coaster opened, I think it was 2 weeks in, they had that huge snafu that destroyed the whole engine, and it was down for 2 or 3 months in its first operating year. And it's just been kind of problematic ever since. You can also watch El Toro Ryan's problematic videos on it, and you'll get what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, could Zamperla go in there and do something similar? And I think they could. They would also have another weird situation of how the station is built. It does already have that switch track, so you would have to have that spike would pretty much go right over top of the station. So I don't know if they have the space there or not, or how much you'd have to work around to do it, because you would need that swing launch. And how much more crazier could you go? Because Kingda Ka is 456 feet tall.
Okay.
Top Thrill Dragster, old Top Thrill Dragster, or Top Thrill 2 now, is 420 feet. So would you still make that reverse spike 456 feet, or would they go taller? I'd be kind of curious, because if there's one thing I kind of noticed while riding Top Thrill 2, when you're going 120 miles per hour, it still felt like that ride had something like it could go faster if it wanted to. It kind of felt like that. Like it was just...
You felt like it was holding back?
In a way, it kind of does feel like that. Like, I don't feel like the coaster's using every inch of that launch to make sure it gets you up. Like, you're already at the 120, probably like a good...
Well, that's true.
A few feet down it. So my question is, you could probably keep going. I don't know. Make it even faster. So those are the ones that we could say, could they refurbish? Or could we see a ground-up Zamperla strata coaster as sort like this? Because... These are like 400 feet. Could we see them? Well, they could make some smaller ones, which they did refurbish that other coaster that's going out to, I think it's called like PYE Playland or whatever. It's in Canada. It hasn't opened. It's called Thunderbolt, I believe it's its name. Everyone's been kind of complaining because they have seen the launch. It does look kind of on the slower side. But comparing to Top Thrill 2, which I thought was a good ride, I mean, we don't know.
Okay, so if Zamperla were to come in and build one from the ground up, which park would you put it at?
Which park would I put it at?
What park would it be a good fit at?
Well, I look at parks that need a good launch coaster. And I hate to be like going off of like the usual suspects, but first up that I think, okay, it does have 2 launches, but I feel like it still needs that really good launch coaster. And that would be Kings Island. I know they have Flight of Fear, but I don't consider it a good coaster because it's fine, but I'm too big for that ride. Like, I'm just too tall. I barely fit into it, so I just never want to ride it.
Well, I'm not too tall for it, and I never want to ride it either.
But it's on the older side. It was built, I think, in 96, 95.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it's a classic.
It's a classic.
But again, that's also, I mean, it's in the same state. It's not terribly far away from the another version, which would be Top Thrill 2. So... Kings Island, I don't know. Another park that desperately needs a launch coaster that doesn't have one at all, Six Flags New England.
Okay, yes.
I don't know if they would go to extreme heights. I don't know if the location crowd side could warrant such a mega roller coaster, but that's another theme park that I could think of that could use a solid launch coaster. And but what kind of park would actually be risky enough to do it? Obviously, we saw at that one time there was that rumored like spiral multi-launch coaster to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. You remember that one? They were calling like the Draken Spiral, as everybody was calling it, which was really kind of puzzling to everybody because it's like they just built Pantheon, and why would you build another coaster that seems very similar to Pantheon again? That's just even taller.
That it wouldn't work.
But nonetheless, would Busch Gardens Williamsburg be interested in building a mega Stratus roller coaster? I don't know. No. But then we could also go down to their sister park, Busch Gardens Tampa. It's Florida. Florida loves the extremes. They're record-breaking attractions. I mean, it's a huge tourist destination. So they do have the land. It might be a little bit tricky as to where and how they want to build it or place it, but I mean, that could be a possibility there. Right now, their launch coaster they have is Cheetah Hunt. We both really like Cheetah Hunt. It's a fun roller coaster. This would be a completely different to the extremes roller coaster. Right. Everybody likes to argue and say Cheetah Hunt is a family coaster. It's not a family coaster, but sorry, it's not. But this would definitely not be a family coaster if they went with it.
No. But I could see it going there. That would be cool.
And obviously you head out west. There's some of the usual suspects out there. I don't know if Magic Mountain has a space or not. They could get creative. I mean, they do have Superman Escape from Krypton, which is like the classic. Yeah, this maybe Zamperla could do something to that. I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see. You could have 2 mega spikes. Because that's all that ride is right now is just a spike. You launch, go up spike, you come back.
Well, yes.
So, I don't know. But I think this kind of opens the door, though, for... It doesn't have to be mega strata coasters. I think Zamperla could tackle some other smaller scale launch coasters. Mm-hmm. Like the Blitz size, something like that. Just a traditional launch roller coaster of some sort.
Let's ask this question. Is like the launch coaster the only thing Zamperla could do?
I mean, they technically have another roller coaster model, and everybody that I've heard about it, it's always been a flop. I think it's called the Rolling Thunder. It looks very similar to like a Gerstlauer roller coaster. It has the vertical lift. I can't remember if it has a beyond vertical drop or not, but it focuses on inversions and some airtime. But the trains are really weird looking, and they're three across. And I hear this ride, even though they're still rather new. I think the oldest one is maybe 10 years old, maybe. And I hear that they're really rough and janky.
They're not in the United States.
They are both in the United States.
Oh.
The one is at, it's in New York City, and my mind is going blank on the name
Put
of
him to the test.
my name of the park. It's where like Cyclone is. It's that whole Coney Island area. It's not, I don't think it's actually at per se Coney Island or however, because that's like what they call that whole area. There's like a bunch of random little parks there or something.
Okay,
but
where's the other one?
the other one is at Owa Park, and I keep forgetting where Owa Park is. It's like in
Somewhere out west?
Mississippi, Alabama. No, it's somewhere down in that area.
South.
It's a rather new park, and the whole park is almost exclusively Zamperla attractions.
Interesting.
And their centerpiece is this. I think they call it Rolling Thunder as well. I can't quite remember what the name is. Again, I might put it down below, but
You're failing.
let's just put it this way. I've never heard anybody talk about that roller coaster like in a very long time. It was built, and I feel like it's already been completely forgotten. Just put it that way. I don't hear anybody traveling there. I don't see anybody sharing footage, video of those roller coasters. So take it as you will.
Okay.
But that was what everybody kind of uses as maybe judgment to Zamperla. But again, we've only seen them do an upgrade to where they're really taking track that's already existed and they slap their own hardware on top of it. So be curious to see how they do with a ground up. But let's just keep talking about this upgrade. So Cedar Point upgraded Top Thrill Dragster. Is this a trend? I did talk about this in a past video about yes, and I really like this concept.
This should be your tagline.
Yeah.
Upgrade.
Yeah, not replace,
Not
upgrade. Because I really think it's kind of like the new direction of we've seen this going on for a while. Obviously, got very popular with Rocky Mountain Construction. It did exist before then. But let's look at Cedar Point. The upgrade to their one. Is there any other roller coaster in that park do you think that they could transform to make it better than what it is?
Well, there's a lot of roller coasters in that park they could transform to make better than it is.
Well, one that okay, let's start off with the most obvious. It's right next to it, Corkscrew. Do you think that one, is there anything to save it, or do you think that's just throw it in the trash?
I mean, I like the way Corkscrew looks. I like the way it spirals over the midway. It looks really cool, but it is terrible to ride.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible to save. Somebody could come in, they could reprofile some of those elements and make it more comfortable. I don't know if you'd have the possibility of getting new style trains on it or not. But is it worth it to go ahead and do it?
What you're saying is we need a company like Rocky Mountain does to wooden coasters, and Zamperla has now done to the hydraulic launch coaster. We need a company to come in and refurbish all the old aero loopers.
Well, we did see Morgan did that with Phantom's Revenge.
They did.
And then Morgan turned into Chance Rides. So is it possible that Chance could come in and kind of do the same thing?
Well, because think about it. If they could, there's a whole slew of coasters that could get refurbished and become amazing rides.
Yeah, you could keep most of the same layout, but you could also do a couple things different. I don't know. To me, the biggest question is like those vertical loops, because they're very tight and compact, and that's why they also have those really weird style over-the-shoulder restraints. Like when you sit in an aero looping roller coaster, like this is as far as your hands move. Like
I don't even think they go that far.
Yeah, it's like the way it squishes your body in. It's so weird. And then, so I don't know if some of that has to do with clearance issues or whatnot, but
Corkscrew is small and tight, and obviously sits in a very tiny footprint.
Yeah. And do you think people would lose their minds if, let's say, they touched Magnum XL 200?
Yes.
Like, I
wish they would, though.
I talk about this too. I have a love-hate relationship with that roller coaster. Some days I think it's great. Some days I think it's just awful.
Let's just put it this way. We went to the park. We were at Cedar Point. We rode Top Thrill 2, and we had nothing else. You couldn't ride it again. And Magnum was open, and we walked right on by.
Well, there was a little bit of a line. We just didn't really feel like waiting at the line. It was probably like 20 minutes long or something.
Okay, but if any other coaster was sitting there, okay, if that was Maverick with a 20-minute line, Steel Vengeance with a 20-minute line, we would have been like, yes.
Tomato. Well, that's completely different. Like, those are amazing roller coasters. I know. Well, some people, that is their favorite roller coaster.
A lot of people love that roller coaster.
They really like Magnum XL 200. I think it could be a contender. to reprofile some of those janky spots. But I know some people.
Who would you have do it? What
It'd
company
probably be
would you
like
do it?
Chance Rides or something like that. But the problem is a lot of people like those janky airtime hills, and that's why I don't know. I think they're okay. I mean, you kind of get the same experience over on Steel Vengeance if you want, and that's a little bit more comfortable when it comes to those sharp pops of airtime at
A
the
little
end.
more comfortable?
Yeah. But
Hot.
I say have somebody reprofile. And then the other big contender would be like Cedar Creek Mine Ride. I think Cedar Point needs another really, I know they just did Wild Mouse, but I think refurbishing or upgrading that Wild Mouse, the Wild Mouse. The Mine Train roller coaster into something else.
Well, that would give them another family coaster in the back of the park.
Yeah.
Which would be very nice. What about, I can't remember what it's called. The blue wooden coaster at the front.
Blue Streak?
Blue Streak.
That's the classic wooden roller coaster. I really wouldn't want anybody, especially I wouldn't want Rocky Mountain Construction. I mean, they could have somebody come in and do some like a major track work to it or something like that.
Yes, because it's rough. It's a rough ride.
It's fine. It's like any classic wooden coaster of its time.
I mean, even when we've been there on very busy days, if you look at that coaster, there are people sitting way in the front and then the train is empty.
It really never has a long line.
For a reason.
Even on a busy day, I don't think I've ever had to wait for that. I don't think I've ever waited longer than a train for that roller coaster.
There's a reason.
Of course, I would pick the right time of the day to go check it out. I'm sure over Halloween, because that park is just mad crazy, that ride probably still has like a 2-hour long line. But
because everything does.
Yeah, I don't think that would be touched. Those are like, I guess, I mean, because there's Iron Dragon, but I don't know.
It's okay. It's fine.
What we would touch or do
It
with
is what it is. You put a single rail in there. That'd be kind of cool.
So I'm curious what all of you think. Tell me in your comments below if you think this is just the start of something new by Zamperla. Will we see more of these launch coasters? Could your favorite hydraulic coaster get taken over by Zamperla? Tell me all about it in the comments below. And until next time, this is Extreme Thrills.